OG, it's the OGGM broadcasting for around 8:20 in the morning on this, the 31st day of January 2025. It's 44 degrees and weathery outside here at Site B. How y'all doing this morning? It's Friday. Hopefully you are well and have survived the very weird month of January and are ready to roll into Valentine's Day month. Yuck. Today is the last day I'm talking about Wizards of the Coast for an entire month. Everybody remember that? The bet is on. Let's see if I can keep to it. What should be the punishment if I break it? I mean, with our luck, Wizards of the Coast is going to do something so monumentally stupid tomorrow that I would be hard put not to talk about it. But I promised I won't. So, then I'll talk about it. And then, I've got to come up with a punishment, like eat some spicy noodles or I don't know. Anyways, let's look what's new on the shelves of your friendly local game shop. If you are lucky enough to have a friendly local game shop and you see a product that I mentioned that you want, don't just assume they have it. Please call ahead and make sure they got it. Remember, the Diamond Alliance thing is still out there. That bankruptcy thing is still happening. It's still slowly trudging through, and it can take up to 7 years to work through a bankruptcy, especially when you're dealing with a major thingy like Diamond and Alliance. So please have some patience with your small game stores or even your big game stores, because this affects Target and Amazon as much as it affects teeny little mom and pop game store. All of them get their stuff from Diamond. So if they call ahead and ask them if they have it in stock, and if they don't, ask them to special order it. And please understand that if that special order can take them a while to fulfill. We do know that Diamond claims they're going to attempt to fulfill all the contractual obligations they have for existing products, but going forward, who knows? All right, that's enough blabbering. Right off the bat, we've got this very out of phase looking slime monster. It's called Carcass Crawler. It's an official old school essential zine. This is issue number 4 of this magazine. It comes to us from Necronatic Gnome. $10. It's got a whole bunch of stuff for D20. I don't know why this picture came out so bad. I thought it was my computer, but I looked at it through another thing too, and it's just really weird and fuzzy. Probably because they tried to make it look big. Anyways, we got a wizard standing on a guy's head, casting some kind of spell on this slime monster. Then we got some more wizards casting the spell on the slime monster, or they're summoning the slime monster. And then this wizard's like, hey guys, come on, it's fun. This is not going to end well. All right, moving on. We have from Warhammer Crucible 7, Soulbound, Ruins of the Past, and Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Tribal and Tribulations. Soulbound, Ruins of the Past is $40, and Fantasy Roleplay Tribes and Tribulations is $35. Ruins of the Past is for Soulbound, which is probably something like this. It takes place in a town in the Ashen Acropolis where there's stuff going on with a lot of words I don't understand, like Sphyraxinaxes and Adoanath. These are all some references, I assume, to something in the world, but I don't know enough about it to tell you what these mean. I'm assuming that if you are a friend of the Warhammer Soulbound setting, you do know what these words mean, like Stormvault. It does have Skaven in it, and I do love the Skaven. It's got 9 adventures, destinations, some one-shot divergences, final stops on grand campaigns, beasteries with new allies and enemies, and just a bunch of stuff for the Soulbound Ruins campaign setting for Warhammer. And then Tribes and Tribulations is some huge Warhammer stuff, which gets creatures, goblins, orcs, black orcs, hobgoblins, and snotlings, as well as ogres and trolls, and how they're bound with each other and the tribes work with and against each other. Then they have some example tribes like the Black Mountain Boys and more goblin warlords and stuff like that. So it just seems like it's all about the goblins and the orcs. I did a goblin-centric role-playing game that cost way less than this. I don't need to toot my own horn, but here at Cess Gear and Ammo, we employ goblins. So you could buy this book for $35, or you could buy my goblin book for like $10, which pretty much probably has the same thing in it. Just tossing it out there. I don't want you to play favorites. Obviously, I do want you to play favorites, but From Need Games, we have Cannon Fodder, A Sphere for Troikia, and Terror Target Gemini. These are both OSR D20 acid punk type things. $30 for Cannon Fodder and $40 for Terror Target Gemini. Cannon Fodder is a adventure across the trenches for a party to 3 to 5 adventurers. You have to work your way across something called the Sphere, which is full of all sorts of science, occultism, weirdness. You've got some new backgrounds and some stuff like that. You explore this weird continent, discover the mysteries, and interact with its bizarre inhabitants. So it's a campaign setting for some weird, wacky, acid punk craziness that Troikia is all about. Then we've got Terror Target Gemini, which is a hyper-violent and anarchistic Western, a colorful and wacky fantasy, and an action-packed mega full of demonic gunslingers and martial arts witches. PCs play professional adventurers take to do dangerous tasks. So professional adventurers in this weird world called Maju, and you just do crazy anime stuff. I mean, look at this cover. It's obviously trying to embrace some, just crazy anime. We've got the guy driving an old car across the desert. There's a sword swinger. There's a gun. The driver is a goblin, and he's got a bag with an egg in it. Yeah, it just looks like crazy arcane punk wonderfulness. The Saturday morning cartoon, 1980s West Coast grognard. This is like, this is basically what I'm running right now. From Legendary Games, we have Asian Monsters. This is for Black Flag. It's $30. It's got 90 creatures from myth and legends and folklore of Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Thailand, Tibet, and Vietnam, as well as some of the smaller nations like Indonesia, Australia, and the Philippines. From minor medicines like Kappa to gargantuous sea monsters and kaiju, the restless dead like the Gaki, just a bunch of Asian-themed monsters from myth and legend and folklore. That's a social appropriation, cultural appropriation. Black, you're not an Asian person. You can't write that game. I think it's very brave at this point for anybody to try and attempt to make games or game product based upon any culture, because they're going to risk getting just, torn apart. For Castles and Crusades, we've got some Castles and Crusade stuff. We've got brand new character record sheets and a keeper's screen, a DM screen for their Hermit adventure that came out. $6 for the character record sheets and $25 for the game screen. Does anybody still use game screens? I thought we were all sort of just like now kind of anti-game screen, just stand up, roll the dice. The only thing the game screens really help with, other than hiding stuff, is having all the wherewithal rules that you might need to look up, but 8 out of 10 times it doesn't have the rule you're looking for, right? So you still got to go through the book or the app and go, okay, where's the rule for encumbrance underwater? Oh, okay. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Now, so I don't know. I'm iffy about game screens. I think they're cool if you still are in the position where you want to hide stuff from the players. I don't know if anybody still does that. It also seems to be kind of distracting. I like the game screens that just had the inserts that you could just put in like appropriate art for the scenario or the DM, the player's initiative or whatever. I made the mistake of kickstarting the Hermit because I was all for Troll Lords, and I was like, hey, they sent me a game thing that I'm never going to use. I should support them. And I read it and I was like, okay, yeah. I get it. Gygax wrote it, but okay. Anyways, this is But screen, character record sheets for $6. That's good. From Summoning Circle Press, we have Splat 5 Golden. This is for 50 years of celebrating the hobby. It's got a bunch of different things from Apocalypse World, Apocalypse Keys, Arc Doom, Wander Home, independent creators, just basically an article about the history of the hobby and a history of the game with a bunch of conversations from a bunch of different people who have been around today, yesterday, and tomorrow in the hobby. So it's kind of just a look. There's obviously probably going to be some gaming material in here, but it seems to be mostly articles. So think more Time Magazine than Dragon Magazine. But it's $15. So if you're interested in the history from multiple points of views, past, present, future, that it's free of the oppressive boot of Wizards of the Coast. Ooh, that sounds good. That was a shiny sentence. Here you go. From Space Penguin Incorporated. Okay, you win this week's prize for Best Game Company Name. We have Tarnation RPG and the Unbidden Gift of Terran Vale. Tarnation RPG is a 3D6 solo game, and Unbidden Gifts of the Terran Vale is an OSR adventure. Tarnation RPG is $25, and Unbidden Gifts is $15. Tarnation is an episodic game of solo play set in the Weird West pocket reality, a vast, uncanny wilderness ruled by strange and interactable laws. All you need is 3 6-sided dice to figure out what's going on, and then you go and do solo stuff, and then you track it down. Maybe you film yourself doing it. Everybody's doing solo games lately. We've talked about that before. I've even considered doing some solo stuff during February for Fresno, because Fresno February. Yeah. And then the other thing, Unbidden Gifts of the Terran Vale, is a D20 adventure set in a city that's gone mad with a fever dream, and you've got to go to seek out the thing that is causing the dream and bring it to an end so the city can get back to being a city again, as opposed to a bunch of people who are all obsessed and sick and under the effects of this weird curse. And that appears to be it. Kind of. I mean, yes. Depends on how many are in there. It looks like it's one for each class. Or a couple for each class. It doesn't say how many are in the book. It just says you're getting them. $7.99. How many? How many? $24 pages, 4 sheets for each class. There, wasn't so hard, was it? That should have been the first thing you put in the thing, guys. Anyways, character record sheets. I mean, basically, this is what I'm running right now. So, yeah, just buy my stuff. And, I mean, it's definitely trying to capture some Dungeon Crawl Classic love here. $10 for Love of Slime? Sure, why not? That's all the products that are available this week at your friendly local game store. But don't take my word for it, boys and girls. Give them a call and make sure they have it in stock. And if they don't have it in stock, ask them they can special order it. Now it's time for me to get on my weekly soapbox where I remind you once again to please, if you've got some spare time and a few spare Seth bucks sitting around in your pocket, head on down to your friendly local game store if you're lucky enough to have one where you live and support them. Just go in and buy anything. Buy a figure, buy a dice, buy a snack, buy some obscure copy of Dragon Magazine. You know, just help them keep the lights on. That's so important for our friendly local game stores right now to help them stay open, especially cycling back to the beginning of this broadcast, especially with the diamond wherewithal. And I think that's going to get worse before it gets better, if it ever gets better. Might not get better. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely going to affect this year, plus with everything else that's going on, like tariffs and stuff like that. See ya.
Roll the dice and ride the wave. Quest and dragons, the news we crave. Under neon lights we take a stand. Knights and wizards across the land. Monsters lurking in the night.